Don't overlook that dime in your pocket. Some Roosevelt and Mercury dimes with rare dates, mint marks, and minting errors are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Before you spend that 10 cents, check it closely. You could be holding a hidden treasure. The 1982 Roosevelt dime is one of those coins that looks completely ordinary to most people. Small, silver-colored, lightweight, and carrying the familiar image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the front, it's the kind of coin that slips in and out of our hands without a second thought. But for collectors, the 1982 dime is full of intrigue. Some pieces from that year carry secrets and stories that make them worth far more than 10 cents. Some are rare minting errors, while others are simply scarce survivors in perfect condition. And when these turn up at auctions, they've been known to sell for hundreds, and in some cases, thousands of dollars. The obverse of the coin, designed by John R. Cynic back in 1946, still features the portrait of Roosevelt, America's longest-serving president and a leader remembered for his role during the Great Depression and World War II. Across the top of the coin is the word liberty. And just to the left of Roosevelt's neck is the motto "In God We Trust." Beneath the portrait, near the cutoff of his neck, is the designer's initials, JS. And to the right, you see the date, 1982. Depending on the coin, there may also be a mint mark, either AD for Denver, AP for Philadelphia, or an S for San Francisco. Proof coins, on the reverse. The design is both symbolic and elegant. At the center is a torch, representing liberty, flanked on one side by an olive branch, symbolizing peace, and on the other by an oak branch, representing strength and independence. Around the rim are the words United States of America, the motto E pluribus unum, and the denomination 1 dime. This design has endured for decades, and in 1982, it continued to be the face of the American dime. At first glance, you might think 1982 dimes are common, and in one sense, you'd be right. The Philadelphia Mint struck more than 519 million of them, and the Denver Mint produced over 480 million. Add to that nearly 3.9 million proof dimes struck in San Francisco, and you have a total mintage pushing over 1 billion pieces. With numbers that high, it's easy to assume they're all worthless. But here's where things get interesting. Despite their large numbers, 1,982 dimes are special in the world of coin collecting because of the unique circumstances at the U.S. Mint that year in 1980. The Philadelphia Mint began adding a mint mark P to its dimes. This was the first time in history that a mint mark was used on coins struck at Philadelphia. But in 1982, a mistake occurred. Some dimes left the Philadelphia Mint without the P. These no-P dimes are incredibly rare and valuable today. Collectors prize them as one of the most famous mint errors of modern coinage. The absence of the P mint mark was a simple oversight. The working die used to strike the coins was not properly punched with the mint mark. Because only a limited number of these dimes were struck before the mistake was caught, they remain a major rarity. How valuable are they? Well, that depends on condition. Circulated examples have sold for anywhere from $75 to $300, but in high mint state grades, the price skyrockets. A 1982 no-P dime graded MS68 by PCGS once sold for nearly $2,500 at auction. Even proof-like examples have reached similar heights. Imagine that an everyday dime from your pocket change suddenly worth thousands, simply because it was missing a tiny letter. That's the thrill of coin collecting. But the no-P variety isn't the only story of the 1982 dime. Regular strikes in pristine condition also carry serious value. Coins graded MS67 or higher are tough to find, simply because most dimes from 1982 entered circulation immediately and endured decades of wear. A Denver-minted 1982 D dime in MS68 can sell for over $1,000. Even MS67 examples regularly bring $100 to $200. Proof dimes from San Francisco graded PR70 Deep Cameo, representing absolute perfection, have sold for $150 to $300 depending on demand. While those numbers aren't in the thousands, they show just how much collectors value quality and condition. Mint errors beyond the no-P also make the 1982 dime a coin to look out for. Off-center strikes are especially appealing. A dime that's 40% to 50% off-center with the date still visible can fetch $150 to $300. Dramatic double strikes, where the coin is struck more than once, often with rotation between strikes, can easily sell for $200 to $400. Broad strikes, which occur when the retaining collar isn't in place and the coin spreads out wider than normal, bring $50 to $150. Clipped planchets, where part of the metal blank is missing, are worth $50 to $100 depending on the size and placement of the clip. There are also examples of 1982 dimes with striking die cracks or cuds, raised lines or blobs of extra metal caused by die breaks. These coins don't always reach the hundreds, but collectors often pay $25 to $75 for dramatic and unusual examples. Every error tells a story of the minting process, and everyone makes the coin unique. One auction result that really brought attention to the 1982 dime came when a collector submitted a near-perfect no-P example that graded MS68. When it sold for nearly $2,500, it stunned the coin world, reminding everyone that treasures still hide in plain sight. Another notable sale was a Denver-minted 1982 D dime in MS68 that sold for just over $1,000. These results push more people to check their change carefully, hoping to stumble upon one of these elusive coins. The importance of the 1982 dime in U.S. coinage history can't be overstated. It represents a turning point in minting standards, with the newly added mint marks and the mistakes that came from those changes. It also shows how even the tiniest oversight, like leaving off a single letter, can create one of the most famous modern rarities. Collectors love the story as much as the coin, and the 1982 no-P dime has become a must-have piece in any serious Roosevelt dime collection. Think about the journey of one of these coins. It could have been struck in Philadelphia without a mint mark, slipped unnoticed into circulation, passed through countless hands, and spent in ordinary transactions for decades. Then, one sharp-eyed collector spots the missing P, realizing that this is no ordinary dime. Suddenly, it's pulled from circulation, carefully examined, graded, and placed in a protective holder. Its value jumps from 10 cents to hundreds or even thousands of dollars, all because of a missing mint mark. That's the kind of story that makes coin collecting so endlessly fascinating. It also serves as a reminder to pay attention. We live in a world where coins are often overlooked, where digital payments and credit cards dominate, and yet, some of the greatest treasures still hide in loose change. The 1982 dime is proof of that. It's a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things are right under our noses, if only we care enough to look. For collectors, the thrill of hunting for 1982 dimes continues today. Searching rolls of coins, buying bulk lots, or simply checking your pocket change, there's always the possibility of finding a no-P dime or a high-grade survivor. And the market has shown time and again that demand for these coins isn't going away. They're a piece of history, a product of minting error, and a prize for anyone lucky enough to discover one. So the next time you see a Roosevelt dime dated 1982, take a closer look. Check for the mint mark. If it's a Denver coin with a sharp strike, it could be worth a premium in top grades. If it's a San Francisco proof, check its surfaces. It could bring strong money in perfect condition. And if it's a Philadelphia dime with no P, then you've just stumbled across one of the most famous modern rarities in American coinage, a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The 1982 dime is more than just a coin. It's a story of human error, collector passion, and hidden value. It's proof that even the smallest details matter, and that sometimes the tiniest omission can turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. Whether it's a missing mint mark, a dramatic error, or a flawless survivor, the 1982 dime has captured the imagination of collectors for decades, and it continues to inspire treasure hunters today. The 1989 United States one-dime coin is one of those pieces that almost everyone has seen, touched, and spent without a second thought. It jingled in pockets, rattled in change drawers, and was passed across counters for decades, so common that it felt almost invisible in everyday life. But just like many other coins that appear ordinary at first glance, the 1989 dime holds stories of history, striking variations, and minting errors that transform the simple 10-cent coin into something extraordinary for collectors. In fact, certain rare examples of this coin, especially those showing remarkable mint errors or surviving in pristine condition, have sold for far more than their face value, sometimes climbing into the hundreds or even thousands at auctions. That makes the 1989 Roosevelt dime one of those hidden treasures worth talking about to understand why the 1989 dime matters. Let's begin with its origins. The Roosevelt dime design had been in circulation for over 40 years by the time 1989 arrived. First introduced in 1946, the dime honored President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who had passed away the previous year and whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left an enduring legacy. Designed by John R. Sinek, the obverse of the dime features Roosevelt's left-facing profile with inscriptions including Liberty, In God We Trust, the date, and the mint mark. On the reverse, you see the torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. By 1989, this design was so familiar to Americans that it blended seamlessly into their daily lives. But that didn't stop collectors from paying attention to the details. The mint struck billions of dimes in 1989 at both Philadelphia and Denver, with proof strikes made in San Francisco. The Philadelphia issues bear no mint mark, while Denver coins show the small D mint mark, and San Francisco proofs carry an S. With such high mintages, these coins remain plentiful in circulation today. But as collectors know, rarity often comes not from how many coins exist in total but from how many survive in superb condition, or with remarkable errors. This is where the 1989 dime story becomes interesting. Error coins and high-grade examples have pushed ordinary 10-cent pieces into much higher value categories. Let's take off-center strikes as an example. A dime struck just slightly off-center, maybe 5% or 10%, might not be worth much more than face value. But when you find a 1989 dime struck 40% or even 50% off-center with the date fully visible, you're looking at a coin that collectors could pay hundreds of dollars to own. These errors are visually striking and make each coin unique, and that's exactly what collectors chase. Double strike errors are another exciting variety. Imagine a coin struck once normally, and then again at an angle or off-center, creating two overlapping images. These coins are incredibly eye-catching, and when a 1989 dime shows such doubling, it often sells for several $100s, depending on how dramatic the error is. One of the rarest and most valuable types of errors is when a coin is struck on the wrong planchet. Every dime should be struck on a planchet weighing 2.27 grams and composed of a copper-nickel-clad mixture. But mistakes happen, and sometimes a dime is struck on a planchet meant for a cent, nickel, or even a foreign coin. These wrong planchet errors are some of the most sought after and can fetch $500 to $1,000 or more depending on rarity and condition. Another unusual but valuable error is the missing clad layer dime. The outer layer of copper-nickel sometimes fails to adhere, exposing the pure copper core beneath. This creates a dime that looks copper-colored instead of silvery, a striking error that can bring hundreds of dollars at auction. Clipped planchets also show up for 1989 dimes. These coins have a curved clip along the edge where the blank was cut too close to the edge of the metal sheet. Depending on size and appearance, a clipped 1989 dime could be worth $50 to $100 or more. Beyond errors, grading plays a massive role in value. Most 1989 dimes circulated heavily, meaning they show scratches, wear, and discoloration. But coins that manage to survive in pristine condition, with blazing luster and sharp details, are far scarcer. A 1989 dime graded MS-67 or MS-68 with full bands, the designation that the torch on the reverse is fully struck with complete lines, can sell for hundreds of dollars. Registry collectors, who compete to assemble the finest sets of coins graded by companies like PCGS and NGC, will pay strong premiums for these top population coins. Proof coins struck in San Francisco also carry special value. These coins, produced with polished dies and planchets, show mirror-like fields and frosted devices. A 1989 S-proof in PR70 Deep Cameo is rare and highly collectible, often selling for over $100. While millions of proofs were struck, the perfect ones are always scarce, and collectors chase them eagerly. Auction records have confirmed the demand for 1989 dimes in special conditions. High-grade examples with full bands, dramatic off-center errors, and missing clad layers have appeared and sold for impressive prices. In fact, some collectors have paid well over $1,000 for stunning wrong planchet errors or incredibly well-preserved proofs. These results remind us that even modern coins can command serious respect and strong bidding competition in the right circumstances. The fascinating part of the 1989 dime is that it is still modern enough to be overlooked but old enough to have developed a following among collectors. It sits at the cusp of being common pocket change and a collectible piece of history. That balance makes it one of those coins where a simple glance isn't enough. You need to look closely, carefully, and with a collector's mindset. Think about the journey of one of these coins. Struck in vast quantities, shipped out across the country, spent countless times. It may have rattled through vending machines, passed through gas stations, or been left in drawers. And yet, within that flood of billions of coins, a handful stand out. Those with errors, those untouched by circulation, those with unique traits that set them apart forever. That's the thrill of coin collecting. Finding a gem hiding among the ordinary. So the next time you see a 1989 dime, don't dismiss it as just another piece of small change. Could be a coin worth hundreds, maybe even thousands, if the right error or grade is present. It carries the face of Roosevelt, the legacy of a president who shaped American history, and the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint during a time of mass production. It may be just a dime, but it has the potential to be so much more. The 1996 United States Roosevelt dime might seem like a simple, everyday coin. It's the small silver-colored piece that most people throw into change jars, hand to vending machines, or slide across the counter for a pack of gum. Millions of people touch them every single day without thinking twice about them. But to coin collectors, the 1996 dime holds more meaning than just 10 cents. Depending on condition, rarity, or error, this coin can be worth far more than its face value, sometimes climbing to hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. And what makes the 1996 dime especially memorable is that it marked the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime series, a milestone that made the year particularly important in the long-running history of U.S. coinage. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, 1 year after the death of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Roosevelt was chosen for the dime because of his extraordinary leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, but also because of his lifelong connection to the March of Dimes, a movement originally formed to fight polio. Since its introduction, the design has remained largely unchanged, making it one of the longest-running coin series in U.S. history. On the obverse of the 1996 dime, you find the familiar left-facing portrait of Roosevelt designed by John R. Sinek. Above Roosevelt's head arches the motto Liberty. To the left of his neck appears the national motto In God We Trust. Below the bust sits the date 1996, and just to the right, depending on the mint, is the mint mark. For Philadelphia coins, there is no mint mark. Denver coins carry the D mint mark. San Francisco proof coins display the S mint mark. And in a special twist for 1996 only, some dimes were struck with a W mint mark at the West Point Mint in New York to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the design. This was the very first time a circulating dime bore the W mint mark, though these coins were not released into general circulation but instead included in uncirculated mint sets. On the reverse, the design features three main elements: a torch at the center, symbolizing liberty, an olive branch to the left, symbolizing peace, and an oak branch to the right, symbolizing strength and independence. The inscriptions United States of America and one dime encircle the design, with the Latin motto E pluribus unum positioned just below the torch. This simple yet powerful design has stood the test of time, reminding Americans of Roosevelt's legacy and the values he represented. Now let's talk about mintages, because that's where the story of the 1996 dime becomes very interesting. At Philadelphia, over 1.4 billion dimes were struck. At Denver, another 1.3 billion were minted. San Francisco produced just over 2 million proof dimes. But the real standout was the West Point Mint, which struck exactly 1,457,000 special W mint-mark dimes for collectors. This was a one-year-only issue, and these coins were never meant for circulation. Instead, they were included in uncirculated sets, which means every 1996 W dime is a collectible piece by definition. Most 1996 dimes from Philadelphia or Denver are still common. Billions exist, and even in uncirculated condition, most are worth only a small premium, maybe $1 to $5 for higher mint state grades. But in the top mint state grades like MS68 or MS69, prices rise dramatically. A 1996 D dime graded MS69 by PCGS sold for nearly $1,500 at auction, proving that perfection always commands attention. The same holds true for 1996 P dimes in MS69, which can reach the $1,000 mark. San Francisco proof coins, especially in PR70 deep cameo condition, can bring $50 to $150 depending on demand. But the 1996 W dime is the crown jewel of the year. Because of its low mintage and unique story, even circulated examples can fetch $15 to $20. In pristine mint state condition, they typically sell for $30 to $50. But in the highest grades, prices climb much higher. A 1996 W dime in MS69 recently sold for over $600, while PR70 examples with the special W mint mark can top $1,000. But we can't talk about the 1996 dime without diving into the fascinating world of errors and varieties. Errors are what transform ordinary coins into extraordinary collectibles, and 1996 saw its fair share. One of the most notable error types is the double die. While no major 1996 double die has reached the fame of earlier coins, minor double dies have been reported. These show as slight doubling on the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust. While subtle, they can still sell for $20 to $50, and dramatic examples might climb higher. Off-center strikes are another exciting error. On a 1996 dime, a slight off-center strike of 5% might be worth $30 to $50, but more dramatic errors of 50% or more, especially with the date still visible, can bring $200 to $400. One remarkable 1996 D dime with a 65% off-center strike sold for $450 at auction, showing just how desirable these coins are to collectors. Broad strikes also occurred in 1996. These happen when a coin is struck without the collar die, allowing the metal to spread outward and create a dime that looks stretched or misshapen. A 1996 broad strike dime can sell for $50 to $100, depending on the severity. Another error category is die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between. The result is ghostly outlines of one side appearing on the other. Die clash errors from 1996 dimes can sell for $30 to $80, and dramatic clashes with visible torch outlines on the obverse have sold for over $150. Clipped planchets are another fascinating error. These occur when the blanks used to make coins are punched too close together, resulting in a dime with a curved section missing. A clipped 1996 dime might bring $40 to $100. More dramatic double or triple clips can easily reach $200 or more. Then there are the rarest and most valuable of all, wrong planchet errors. Imagine a dime struck on a cent planchet, leaving it copper-colored, or struck on a foreign coin blank. These spectacular mistakes are incredibly rare but immensely valuable. In fact, a 1996 dime struck on a cent planchet sold for over $3,000 at auction, one of the highest prices for an error dime of that year. All of these errors prove one thing: even the smallest coin can hold big surprises. That's why collectors carefully check every dime, using magnifying glasses and good lighting, to spot the details that others overlook. But beyond condition and errors, the 1996 dime carries historical significance as the 50th anniversary issue. It was more than just another dime. It was a celebration of half a century of Roosevelt's legacy on American coinage. The special West Point W dime became a collector favorite and has remained so ever since. Many collectors consider it the gateway coin that pulled them deeper into the hobby, because it was something unique, something different, and something that sparked curiosity. Auction records tell the story of just how much attention these coins have received. High-grade business strikes from Philadelphia and Denver breaking into the $1,000 range. Proof coins topping $100 in perfect grades. Special 1996 W dimes selling for hundreds, even crossing the $1,000 threshold in pristine condition. And dramatic errors reaching into the thousands. These numbers show that the 1996 dime is not just a pocket change coin. It's a piece of numismatic history with real market demand. So the next time you come across a 1996 dime, stop and take a closer look. Is it a Philadelphia, a Denver, or maybe even the rare West Point? Does it shine with full luster and appear nearly flawless, possibly a candidate for high mint state grades? Does it carry an odd shape, a missing section, or a misaligned strike that might mark it as an error? Each detail could turn a simple 10-cent coin into a valuable collectible worth far more than face value. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It makes you look at your change in a new way, with curiosity and wonder. The 1996 Roosevelt dime is proof that history, artistry, and even a touch of mystery can be found in the smallest of coins.